Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot that it always straight up goes right to recording when I hit start recording. It doesn't even give me a countdown or anything. Anyway, moving on. So we can see I missed Thursday's prediction. The Panthers won the game. I am starting to think the Panthers might just be a good team this year, but we'll see. We'll see. They're 3-0, but we'll see. Because they haven't played the strongest schedule between you and me. Like, you look at the Panthers' schedule, specifically, like, they played the Jets, the Saints, and the Texans this year. The hardest game out of all these games here is the Saints, but Jameis Winston looked like he looked like Buccaneers Jameis Winston instead of Saints Jameis Winston in that game. And right now we've seen two versions of Jameis Winston. We're going to keep seeing that this entire year. The Saints are going to be a really hard team to predict what they do this year because of that. But yeah, they have not had a hard schedule, so not too surprising that the Panthers won that one. But I actually don't know who I would have picked. I think I probably would have leaned towards the Texans in my pick if I had picked originally, but yeah, the Panthers won. I'm not going to count that for this week, so yeah, let's move on to actual picks now. So Chargers and Chiefs. The Chargers have looked a lot worse than I thought they would. The Chiefs lost the Ravens last week in a very tight game, 1-point game. That being said, I think the Chiefs win this one. I think it actually potentially ends up being a shootout too, because the Chiefs have a really bad defense. But I don't think the Chargers are as good as the Ravens, and I think that helps out the Chiefs a lot here. So I think the Chiefs should be able to win this one. I'll go ahead and say it's about a 34-28 game. Okay, so I think the Chiefs won that one pretty handily. Yeah. Cardinals, Jags. I gotta go with the Cardinals on this one. The Jaguars are still a hot mess, as we are continuing to learn. They're 0-2. The Cardinals are 2-0. And yes, the Cardinals barely scraped by against the Vikings this past week, but the Jags are a way worse team than the Vikings are, and so the Cardinals should easily beat them. I think they definitely score at least 35 points. So I'll say the Cardinals score 35 and the Jags get 17, so I'll say 35-17. Because I think the Jags can put up a decent amount of points this year in a lot of teams. I just don't see them doing it too well against the Cardinals, but I will give the Jags some points every game because I don't think their offense is the weak point of their team. I think it more so has to do with their defense, even though their offense does have some holes in it that are suspect. The Browns versus the Bears. Okay. Justin Fields gets his first start in the NFL this season. A lot of people have been saying, oh, what makes us think that Justin Fields is ready? I've thought and have thought that Justin Fields I thought and known that Justin Fields is better than any other quarterback on that Bears team. That being said, I really do actually believe in the Browns a lot, and I don't know that Justin Fields is ready to beat a team like the Browns. I feel like this is going to be a really hard game for Justin Fields, and I have to go and give the Browns the edge on this one because they're A, at home, and B, they're a better team overall in many different ways, especially just in the running game. Both teams have decent defenses, right? The thing is, I don't know how Justin Fields is going to play, and we do know how Baker Mayfield is going to play. And Baker Mayfield, while not always the most consistent guy, should be able to be at least on his A game against a team like the Bears. I think the Browns win this one 24-20. I see it being a bit of a lower scoring game and a tighter game that most people probably won't expect to be too tight, but I do see the Browns taking a close dub. Washington versus the Bills. Well, it's in Buffalo. I think the Bills are a better team. I've seen certain people pick Washington this week. I don't think that's going to realistically happen. The Bills are a much better team than Washington is. You can say, oh, the Bills, they're going to be going up against that Washington defense that is really good. I don't think it's going to matter too much. I think the Bills should be able to win this game. I think maybe they even just won it 23-20, but I think they get the dub. Washington is a better team than people realize, but the Bills overall are a better team, and Josh Allen is for real. We've known that for a whole season or two now, so yeah. Colts Titans. The Colts are really bad. The Titans are not as good as we thought. This division, whenever they have divisional games, is always tight, no matter what. The Titans are playing home. I think King Henry has a good game. King Henry balled out last week, right? I mean, when does he not ball out? I think the Titans win this one in a close game. I'm even going to go ahead and say 33-30 because the Titans are like perpetually in shootouts all the time. And somehow Ryan Tannehill is able to outlast people a lot of the time through that. Yeah, that'll be an interesting game. I think the Titans barely squeak by the win, though. Because I just trust Ryan Tannehill more than I do Carson Wentz, and that's not something I thought I would be saying at this point. Especially not if you looked at where they were a few years ago. Saints-Patriots. Well, it's at Foxborough. From what we saw of Jameis Winston last week, I want to pick the Patriots here, but I just don't know that I can pick Mac Jones over Jameis Winston right now. The Patriots haven't shown much offensively. Like, if I look at Mac Jones' numbers, I'm just going to do a numbers check right here. Mac Jones, forget about it. I need stats. Mac Jones' stats. Well, that doesn't really help me at all. Maybe this will help. Mac Jones' stats, so he is 1-1 in his career, has a 73% completion rate for 467 yards and 1 touchdown with no interceptions this season. And that's a pretty good stat line, against, Miami and New York. This is his first real test. He took the L in Miami, right, against a decent defense in Miami. Not really going to say great defense, but he did well against Miami. And then against the Jets, here's the thing, though. Oops. This is his first real test in the NFL, and the Saints are a really good team. But that's a good defense there in New England. I think I'm actually, based on the fact that it's a good defense, I'm going to give New England the edge 24-17 just because I don't trust Jameis Winston against this defense. And I think Mac Jones is a good enough quarterback, even as a rookie, to be able to battle against a team like the Saints and come out with a win. Especially at home in Foxborough. Bill Belichick always finds ways to make things easier for his players when the Patriots are at home. But that's an interesting game. I think it will definitely be one of the games that are worth watching this week. Yeah. I think the Patriots come out on top, though, to improve to 2-1 this season. Falcons and Giants. Very boring. Maybe not boring. Potentially very fun game to watch, right? Because both teams are so bad that it could be so bad that it's actually fun to watch. And another channel by the name of Urinating Tree would probably call this one a tank bowl because both these teams realistically don't. Well, actually, the Giants, based on their division, do have a chance to make the playoffs. The way they're going right now, they probably won't, but we'll see. I don't know. The Giants almost beat Washington last week. That's, again, a game in their division. The Falcons, I think, are a worse team than Washington. I do like the Giants a little bit more as a team than Washington, but I like Matt Ryan better than Daniel Jones as a quarterback. I don't know. Let's look at Daniel Jones' stats here. Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones' stats for this season. So, 516 yards, actually pretty decent, with 2 touchdowns and 0 interceptions this season. So, it's 1 touchdown a game for Daniel Jones so far, but 0 interceptions this season. So, there's that. But you have to remember the Falcons are without Julio Jones this year. I think I'm actually going to pick the Giants here. That one might come back to bite me in the butt, but I think the Giants will win this game, especially at home, right? I think the Giants can win this game. And I think they win it 17-13 or something like that. It's probably going to be low scoring, but I think the Giants can win low scoring games against bad teams this year. Because I don't think that they're the worst team in the NFL. I think there are some teams that are worse than them. I think the Jets are the worst team in New York this year, and I think that there are a couple teams down here that I think are worse than the Giants. So, moving on. Bengals and Steelers. Now this is ironically a very interesting game this year because I think for the first time in a long time it could realistically go either way. Now it's in Pittsburgh. That gives the Steelers a little bit of an advantage. Joe Burrow is definitely the best quarterback the Bengals have ever seen, probably ever. Besides maybe, wasn't there a guy in the 80s that was pretty good, like Ken something? I can't remember. I was not alive back then, so I think his name might have been Ken Anderson or something like that. I don't know, but anyway, that guy was pretty good. Joe Burrow is probably the second best or best quarterback that the Bengals franchise has ever seen. The Steelers have a lot of issues this season. They're 1-1. The Raiders beat them last week. The Raiders look like they might be legit. The Raiders are 2-0, and they've beaten pretty tough teams to beat. The Ravens beat the Chiefs last week, and the Steelers beat the Bills in week 1. So, the Raiders beat both of those teams. And those teams have taken down Giants this year, so you're talking about, that I think the Steelers win this game, though, to be honest. I've seen people pick against the Steelers here with the Bengals upsetting them, but I just can't take the Steelers. I can't take the Bengals against the Steelers, knowing the history of this game, knowing how this usually shakes down, knowing what usually happens. Big Ben plays fantastic in Ohio, right? Ben Roethlisberger does not lose against the Bengals or the Browns. He loses to the Ravens occasionally, but if you look at his track record against both Ohio teams, he just doesn't lose, and he plays them twice a year. He knows how to play this matchup, and it's in Pittsburgh, right? Although, didn't the Steelers lose to the Bengals at one point last year? I think they did. I don't know. I think they went 1-1 against the Bengals last year. I think they win this game, though. I'm going to say it's going to be closer than people think. I'm going to go 24-17 Steelers. Ravens and Lions. Okay, the Ravens have had another series of bad and unfortunate events happen to them this week, with having to put 3 players on the COVID list due just increasing their already obscene amount of injuries they have. But even with all that, I still think the Ravens win. They beat the Chiefs last week. They're stunning people of how well they're playing with all these injuries, right? The Lions are just a really, really bad team. I just don't see the Lions having an answer for Lamar Jackson or literally anybody in the Ravens' rushing game. The Lions' defense is just really, really bad. The Ravens have a tendency to kind of expose really bad defenses. I think the Lions will probably definitely score some points against the Ravens. They might get a touchdown or two. which really is only about 14. I don't know, I give the Lions about, 20 points, maybe 23. Be nice to give them 23 points. And then I'll say the Ravens win the game 32 to 23. So I'm being nice to the Lions there too. 32-23, Ravens take it. Jets and Broncos. Zach Wilson looked atrocious last week, and Teddy Bridgewater is consistent. Teddy Bridgewater is doing what the Broncos want in a QB to do there for a while. The Broncos have had an easy schedule. They should win this game. I'm going to call the Broncos here. I think the Broncos win this game pretty easily. I think they can even win this game in a blowout potentially. But I think it's ultimately going to be low scoring because we know the Broncos never have a high-powered offense. They haven't had a... there's a fart. They haven't had a high-powered offense since Peyton Manning. And I don't realistically see them losing this game, though. The Jets are just so bad. They're one of the teams I think the Giants are better than. And, yeah. So I'm going to go Broncos 27-13. Dolphins-Raiders. I think the Raiders are going to win this. They're playing home. The Dolphins are starting Tua Tagovailoa, who, by the way, I called it. He's a bust. Tua's a bust, okay? I knew it. I knew he would be a bust. He's so bad. He is so bad. Look, as soon as they let Fitzpatrick go to Washington they should have never let Fitzpatrick go. If Tua's a bust, they're going to be drafting a quarterback at the end of the season. Okay. The Raiders are legit, too, by the way. This was a great game last season, but don't forget Ryan Fitzpatrick started in the game. Okay. Tua Tagovailoa is a bust. The Raiders win this game pretty handily. 27-10. Buccaneers Rams. Interesting game. I think this will test the Buccaneers more than they've been tested all season, quite frankly. But I still think the Buccaneers win. I think they win like 32-30. I think it's going to be a very close game. Probably come straight down to the wire. But ultimately, if the game comes down to the wire, I think the Buccaneers win off of having Tom Brady. They should go 3-0 on this game. Vikings and Seahawks. I'm going to go with the Seahawks on this one. I think the Vikings show they can compete with teams that are on the upper echelon. They lost off the missed field goal. That's a concern, right? So is their kicking game able to win games? I don't think it is. They lost off of a pretty easy field goal last week. That should have been made. Probably would have been made, 99% of the time, and then you had the 1% where the Vikings miss it. That being said, I think the Seahawks are a better team than the Cardinals. And, yeah. So there's that. I think the Seahawks definitely won this game. But it's going to be closer than people think. I'll say it's 30-27 Seahawks. Packers-Niners. The Packers have a lot of question marks for me. They beat the Lions last week. That doesn't really prove anything. A lot of teams are going to beat the Lions this year. But you know what? I am going to pick the Packers. And the reason I'm going to pick the Packers is I don't feel too great about the Niners. Okay, I think Aaron Rodgers always gives this team a chance to win, even if it's a hard thing to do. I think the Packers win this game against the Niners. I just like the Packers a little bit more here. I don't know why. My gut feeling is telling me to go with the Packers. I think it's going to be 28-24, though. It's going to be close. Eagles-Cowboys. Potentially a game that could tell you who's going to win this division. Honestly, I'm not counting anyone out of this division just because of how bad it is. The Cowboys are at home. The Eagles look good against bad defenses. The Cowboys have a bad defense. That being said, the Cowboys also look great against bad defenses. This one might be a shootout. If it's a shootout, it just depends on who has the better quarterback And right now, I think that's the Cowboys. We don't know too much about Jalen Hurts. We know Dak has been to the playoffs before. Dak has been around for longer. The Cowboys have better receivers. It's gonna be close. I haven't made my pick yet. I mean, on paper, the Cowboys win, but it's the Cowboys, right? Man, this is a tough pick to make. It's tough. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys by 3. I think the Cowboys win 27-24. I'm going with the Cowboys simply pretty much because they have home field advantage, and I don't think they are gonna lose this game because of that. The Cowboys play pretty well at home. That's a big factor to this. The Eagles, this might be one of those situations where the Eagles win at home when they get their chance to play them again, right? So it could be a situation where the Eagles and Cowboys go 1-1 against each other this year. But this is a huge game for this division, obviously. A lot of people wrote off the Eagles in this division, even though, the division is bad. A lot of people still wrote them off this year until they saw what Jalen Hurts was able to do week 1. This will be a very interesting game to watch, and I think a lot of people are going to end up watching it because it's the Cowboys. But yeah, it should be a very interesting game to watch regardless. Yep, so that's my picks for the week. Last week, let's see, how did we do? So I got that pick right, I got that one wrong, so that's 1-1. I got that one right, so 1-1, 2-1, 3-1, 4-1, 4-2, 5-2, 6-2, 7-2. I think I did pick the Bears, didn't I? No, I picked the Bengals. I'm 7-3 there. 8-3. 9-3. I think I did pick the Seahawks there, right? I did, yeah. So I was 9-4. I can't remember what I picked there. I think I picked the Chargers, so I'll say I was 9-5. 9-6. So I went 10-6 last week. So that means overall I was 9-7 my first week. So overall I'm 19 and 19-13 this year overall in my picks. So we still have a winning record so far. So this week we're gonna miss one, so might as well just add that to a loss for me. So I'm really 19-14 now because I missed this one. But yeah, let's go over the best games this week. Honestly, I think most of the games are pretty good this week, right? Best game this week is obviously Eagles-Cowboys, I think. Because rivalry and also just it's going to be good. It's prime time. Saints-Patriots will be interesting, but I don't know if that actually shakes up to be good. Bengals, Steelers, also same thing, should be a pretty good game. Buccaneers, Rams should be a pretty good game. Dolphins, Raiders should be a pretty good game. Seahawks and Vikings should also be a good game. And Packers, 49ers should be a good game as well. Titans, Colts is always going to be a good game because it's a divisional game and those two go ham against each other. Chiefs and Chargers will also be a good game, but also I think that there's a good chance it could end up being a blowout, so maybe only watch for the second half, and if the Chiefs start running away with it, maybe watch for the first half and the Chiefs start running away with it. I wouldn't be too surprised. But yeah, this is a good week this week. A lot of good games, some duds, though, right? Just like every week. Ravens, Lions should be a blowout, so that's probably a dud. And I'm a Ravens fan, so I'm still going to watch it. This is definitely a dud. Don't watch that game. It's going to be bad. It's going to be horrible. Don't watch it. Yeah, I mean, for the most part, there's really only potentially two duds. Also, Jets-Broncos is a dud because The teams are so bad that you don't want to watch. I mean, the Broncos are going to be 3-0, but they're still a bad team. They're not going to win much more after this. If they do, it's because they have an easy schedule. Although once the Broncos start playing divisional games, they're the worst team in that division. They're easily the worst team in that division. All right, that's enough of that though. Peace.